Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. By request from my dude Pocan Joe, we're going to be talking about Kill Your Darlings from Image Comics, issue number 1. It is written by Ethan S. Parker and Griffen Sheridan, art by Robert Quinn, who also does the colors, and then letters by John J. Hill. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. I don't have a schedule, all the likes, comments, the subscription, it's all free, doesn't cost you anything, it's just interaction between me and you. Without further ado, let's get into it. So Kill Your Darlings, it starts out like in a past scene. We're starting out with like a witch burning. It doesn't really state where, when, but it's a girl tied to the stake. It's a town. Oh, it does state when. I'm sorry, 1692. But basically, it's a town that's coming together to burn like this person they believe is bad, is a witch. They don't say witch or anything, but from the scenario you learn that this girl is pleading to her parents, who are actually like there witnessing her daughter, being burned. And that's kind of where this leaves us. The next page takes us somewhere completely different. We start out in this crazy scenario with two armies that are about to go to war. There's a highness, and she has this dope-ass sword called Francine. I'll move my finger so you can see. But we kind of find, it's an introduction to the main character. It goes to 1995, and we are introduced to Rose. As you can see, the two armies are right here. She's imagining she's doing playtime, keeping busy. But basically, she has this whole like war scenario set out, and she's actually pretty entertaining, I'd say. But eventually, she runs out trying to get her mom to play with her, and we kind of run into this character, which is Andrea, and we find out that they're in not so good a shape. Her mom's calling, trying to get help with bills and stuff like that. Rose tries to get her mom to play. Her mom's like, nah, I can't really do that. So, Rose does what's next, what's best next, and she grabs some foil, runs back into the room, and goes back to playing. Kind of, wishes her mom could, but, her mom's just busy kind of thing. There is some story stuff that comes from the actual imagination side, where, like, the war ceases to exist with these like rat looking characters, and eventually they sign a peace treaty, and her as the queen, she's supposed to be in charge of the peace and everything. Basically it ends that night. She goes to sleep, her mom tells her good night. They have the scene the next day where she goes to school. She runs into I would assume her best friend. His name is Elliot. They have a conversation that's kind of reminiscent of like Pokemon back in the day, like when Pokemon first appeared and stuff, like, hey, look at these trading cards, would you get into this? She's not really into that. She's more into her imagination world, and she wants Elliot to come over and play with her kind of thing, and he's more into the Pokemon type of thing. He keeps mentioning like, hey, can you get your mom to buy these kind of thing? She ends up going home, and it looks like her mom had to cover a double shift at her job, and she's dead tired. She's asleep. It looked like she was watching a movie before she went to bed. She does try to wake up her mom, and it doesn't work. She goes back to her room, and we get the scene right here. At first I was caught off because we see this like crack, and it looks like she almost like breaks her back. All will be explained kind of in a second, but we see some startling stuff happen. It's kind of being told in two fronts, the imagination side and the real world stuff. But the next thing they show us is this. The queen standing over everybody that's supposed to be in the peace treaty, and they're all dead. Blood everywhere. They show us on the imagination side that everybody is dead, and she's there by herself kind of thing, walking through. They go back and show you in real life that she went through and killed all of her stuffed animals kind of thing. Both worlds are reflected the same way. They show us pictures of, deceased members of her group and, villains kind of thing. And in the real world, same kind of thing. That all her puppets and dolls are ripped apart, torn. Her room is in extreme chaos. Eventually she takes off out of her room and runs down to what looks like a basement. And it happens to be drawn the same way she is shown here. Earlier, at the end of her imagination thing, that there was like talk in the imagination world about this massive evil that was going to appear. And that's what we're getting down here in this dark cave, is the greeting from this dark evil. she basically gets scared and runs off. And the next thing the book shows us is her literally running away from a burning castle. And remember, everything is reflective in the real world. So the next thing they show us in the real world, of course, is her house on fire. You know, her best friend, I assume, lives close by. He runs out trying to assist her, and instantly he is scooped up by his dad, which caught me off guard. Because it's kind of looking like this little girl set her house on fire with her mom asleep inside. But that's what the book makes you want to look. You know, that's I think it might be like, you know, cliffhanger gimmick kind of thing. It's a great cliffhanger kind of thing. But I want to point out something. When she came home and her mom was asleep, we have the scene right here, and she was smoking cigarettes, and it looks like she left one of the cigarettes lit. I'm going to say that this little girl is going to think she burned the house down, but really it might have been her mom, you know, accidentally leaving the cigarette lit when she fell asleep. My thoughts on this, I loved it. I thought it was great. I didn't know what the cliffhanger, what the hook was going to be, but once we got there, I loved it. Either way, I think the story plays out great. If it is a little girl, I think it goes back to the whole witch thing in the beginning, and I think it was great. At the very back of this book, there is a like a letter page from both writers of the book, talking about how it was kind of a dream for them to do this. They've been wanting to do, like, you know, comics for a long time, and you know, but I highly suggest if you read this book, read these 2 articles. They were pretty good insight into, you know, why they're doing this book and that kind of thing. But that is my review. Let me know what you thought about this book. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I did. I'm definitely looking forward to the second issue. But that's all I got for you. Pocan Joe's link is in the description down below. Please give his channel a like. He is my competition in the CBCA Awards, or the CBC Awards. I'm sorry, I'm messing up my words. But that's all I got for you guys. All right.